Alright, right off the bat, I think that you should buy the Sony A7S III instead of the Canon R5. Let me explain why. A few days ago, SonyAlphaRumors.com released the spec sheets of the rumored Sony A7S III. So according to the website, they're still going to use a 12 megapixel sensor on this new camera. But I'm going to explain why I think they're still using a low megapixel camera. So the reason why the Sony A7S II has really good low light capability is because it has low megapixel. So the more pixel a sensor has, the smaller the pixel should be on the sensor. When it's smaller, there's less light that can go inside. So obviously if they have less megapixel, then it can be bigger, and the bigger it is, more lights can come inside, and obviously they can have more light information. In order for it to be good at low light, they have to sacrifice on the megapixels. So I might buy the Sony A7S III just for the low light capability. Okay, next up, the frame rates. Apparently it can shoot full HD in 240 FPS, 4K 120, and in 10-bit 422. I think that's huge for Sony, considering how long they have been using 8-bit on all of their camera, and 420 as far as I remember. And also 4K 120 is it's like a big thing. I remember when the Z Cam came out and saying that they can shoot 4K 120, a lot of people just bought it because of the ability of shooting 4K 120. So I think if Sony can do that, good for you, Sony. Although both R5 and Sony A7S III can shoot 4K 120, but R5 cannot shoot full HD 240. They can only shoot up to 60 in full HD, as far as I see on BH Photo. Oh, and another one, which I hope is true, 4K RAW video on Sony A7S III. And I don't think Sony ever released mirrorless camera that can shoot RAW video. So that would be like a huge thing for Sony. So like when the R5 announced the capability of shooting RAW videos, immediately I saw DaVinci Resolve had an update that can edit their RAW videos directly on DaVinci Resolve. I haven't tried it yet. I just heard about it. I don't know if Sony gonna have the same thing. And another thing that I just saw earlier is that they're gonna have one SD slot and one CF Express slot, which apparently is a reliable source, but they have some debate on the CF Express, like what kind of CF Express it's gonna be. They say something like a CF Express Mini. I think every specs that I see on the sheet is huge. So they said that the base ISO of S-Log3 is gonna be 160. That's like crazy considering how high the ISO should be. I think for full frame, when you're shooting in full frame cameras in S-Log3, the base ISO is 800, and on my camera the 6600 is 500 ISO on S-Log3 and S-Log2. And everyone knows that S-Log3 is very grainy, even when you have the same ISO as, let's say, Cine 4 or HLG, it's still grainy compared to the others. I think it's a good thing when the base ISO is a bit lower, less grain. Another one they said is 16-bit raw output, which I'm assuming is still pictures. It's not gonna be video, or is it? The next thing they said is no overheating, which I really hope is true, because overheating is on every single Sony mirrorless camera. As far as I know, they have a new cooling system that is gonna work really well. The problem with the Canon R5 is that when you're shooting 4K 120, according to Peter McKinnon, it overheats and it might even shut down at one point. So 4K 120 might be a dream come true, but with this overheating issue, it might not be very stable. So I really hope that this cooling system that they're claiming is gonna be better than the R5. And if it is, I don't think anyone should buy the R5 seriously, because then Sony A7S III is king, man. It's king. So that's about it with the spec sheet. We received a few teas from Sony saying that it's gonna exceed everybody's expectation. So people are assuming, oh, is it gonna be 6K, 8K, or what? And in the rumors, they mentioned nothing about 6K or 8K. And here's the problem. If you want to have 6K or 8K, the minimum megapixel should be around 36 or something. And if you want the megapixel a bit high, as I said earlier, then you have to sacrifice your low light capability. And Sony A7S II has always been famous for its low light capability, and if you want to sacrifice that for higher megapixel, it might not be that worth it. And the thing is, I don't really think 6K and 8K is necessary, in the sense that if your 4K video has higher bit depth and more colors, you know, if you can shoot in 422 or even 444 on a 4K, I'd say it's way better than a 6K camera that, you know, can only shoot 420 and 8-bit, whatever. You know, I feel like pushing these 6K and 8K is a bit more for a marketing strategy instead of really trying to create good looking visuals. So here are the three things that I think Sony A7S III beat the Canon R5. The first one is low light capability. I am almost sure that the low light capability is going to be better than the R5. Second one is full HD 240 FPS. That is amazing. So third one is 160 base ISO for S-Log3. This one is, I'm not really comparing with the R5. I just think that it's such a great improvement from Sony if they can actually achieve that. And also, not really the fourth one, but I hope it's true, is that if the cooling system is really as good as it says. That's it with the video. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.